Yeah, 50, man. Five, the big 50. Yeah, no, I'm into it. I just like to slow it down a bit. It's just moving too fast, you know? I don't mind getting old, but I just wish I'd be getting older a little slower.
How is it that 25 years ago you look the same?
You
Youth are,
spoofer!
what about in the youth are you drinking out of, my friend?
Somebody needs their eyes checked. Somebody ain't wearing their contacts today. But I love your spoofing. 50 last weekend.
Colin Farrell turned 50 this year. At the peak of his addiction, a psychiatrist asked him to write down everything he consumed in a single week. The list included 20 ecstasy pills, 4 grams of cocaine, 6 grams of speed, 3 bottles of Jack Daniels, 12 bottles of red wine, and 60 pints of beer. He looked at that list and made a decision. 20 years later, completely sober, he is in the best shape of his adult life, and the 5 foods he cut are the reason the body you see today is possible. Here's what we're breaking down today. 5 foods Colin Farrell never touches. What he eats for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. His exact weekly training routine, the mindset that took him from destruction to longevity, and the one daily habit he says changed everything after sobriety. Stay with us, because food number 3 is the one that defined his 20s and early 30s, the one that almost killed him, and the one he walked away from permanently. Drop a comment right now. What is your favorite Colin Farrell film? Tell us how old you are and whether you are still training. And stay until the end, because the quote he gave about what sobriety actually did to his body is one of the most honest things any celebrity has ever said about health. Colin Farrell was born in Dublin in 1976, grew up in the suburb of Castleknock, and by his mid-20s was one of the most talked-about actors in Hollywood, starring in Phone Booth, SWAT Minority Report, and Alexander in a period of rapid success that coincided with a period of equally rapid self-destruction. He has spoken candidly and without self-pity about what those years looked like. A psychiatrist sat him down and asked him to itemize his weekly consumption. He wrote down the list and looked at what he had become. His own words, "I was only going one way, down. I was self-destructive." He entered rehabilitation in 2005 and has been sober ever since. Now over 20 years without alcohol or drugs, and what happened to his body in those 20 years is the real story. Before we get into the foods, we built something for men who take their health as seriously as Colin Farrell takes his. Our private 50+ Brotherhood is a community exclusively for men over 50 who refuse to accept that decline is inevitable. Inside our private 50+ Brotherhood, you'll get joint-friendly strength training designed specifically for men over 50, a simple nutrition system that supports hormones and steady energy, mobility and recovery routines, daily accountability with disciplined men your age, built-in progress tracking so you stay consistent, direct coaching from certified trainers with over a decade of experience training men 50+. But more than that, you'll be surrounded by like-minded men who refuse to drift. If you're serious about rebuilding strength, confidence, and control over your health, there's a link in the description where you can join. If this speaks to you, don't wait. Join today. Now let's get into the 5 foods Colin Farrell eats every single day. 5 foods Colin Farrell eats for longevity. Food 1. Green tea. Colin Farrell has specifically named green tea as a daily staple, describing it as one of the pillars of his clean lifestyle since getting sober. Green tea contains EGCG, one of the most potent antioxidant compounds available in any dietary source, which reduces systemic inflammation, supports cardiovascular health, and protects cellular integrity at a molecular level. It also delivers L-theanine alongside its caffeine, producing sustained, calm focus rather than the cortisol spike that coffee creates. For a man who spent years in a state of chronic cortisol elevation through substance use, the shift to a daily green tea practice is not a casual wellness choice. It is a physiological reset he has maintained for over 2 decades. The second food is the foundation of every meal he eats. Food 2. Lean protein. Colin Farrell's diet has been described across multiple sources as high protein and Mediterranean in structure, built around lean meats, fish, eggs, and plant-based protein sources at every sitting. His preparation for Total Recall, in which he described training 6 days a week for 3 months alongside a meticulous diet, was built entirely around protein as the nutritional anchor of every meal. Lean protein is the primary driver of muscle protein synthesis. And for a man who lost significant muscle mass during his addiction years and has spent 2 decades methodically rebuilding it, protein at every meal is the structural foundation of the physique he carries today. The third food is what every doctor who has seen his current blood work would point to first. Food 3. Fruits and vegetables. Farrell has described his diet as built around eating really well, and the consistent component of that description across every source is a high volume of fruits and vegetables. The antioxidant load, micronutrient density, and anti-inflammatory properties of a diet high in whole plant foods directly supports the immune function, cardiovascular health, and hormonal regulation that men over 50 need most. For a man whose body spent years under the extreme oxidative stress of chronic substance use, maximizing antioxidant intake is not a preference, it is a physiological priority. The fourth food is the one that surprises most people when they learn it is a daily habit. Food 4. Vitamins and supplementation. Colin Farrell has specifically described taking loads of vitamins as part of his daily clean lifestyle routine. His supplementation approach reflects the understanding that food alone, even a high-quality Mediterranean diet, does not always deliver the micronutrient levels that an aging male body requires to function optimally. Vitamin D3 for bone density and testosterone support, magnesium for muscle function and sleep quality, omega-3 for cardiovascular and joint health, and zinc for hormonal regulation are the core supplements most consistently associated with the health outcomes men over 50 are trying to protect. Farrell's public commitment to daily supplementation is one of the more practically useful health habits any man watching this can adopt immediately. The fifth food is the Mediterranean dietary staple that appears at the center of almost every meal he eats. Food 5. Olive oil and whole grains. Farrell's dietary structure follows the Mediterranean pattern closely, with olive oil, whole grains, legumes, fish, and vegetables forming the base of his daily eating. The Mediterranean diet is the most extensively studied and consistently supported dietary pattern in longevity research, associated with reduced cardiovascular risk, lower inflammatory markers, better cognitive function, and measurably slower biological aging across every population in which it has been studied. For a man whose early adult years placed extraordinary inflammatory and oxidative stress on his cardiovascular system and liver, the sustained anti-inflammatory effect of a Mediterranean diet over 20 years of recovery represents one of the most powerful rehabilitative nutritional interventions available. What Colin Farrell eats for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast Farrell starts his day early and eats a clean breakfast built around protein and complex carbohydrates to fuel his morning training. Scrambled eggs or an omelet with vegetables, whole grain toast, and his first cup of green tea. The eggs provide complete protein and choline for cognitive function. The whole grain toast delivers slow-release energy without the blood sugar spike of refined bread. And the green tea begins the antioxidant and anti-inflammatory work he continues throughout the day. Lunch. Grilled fish or lean chicken with a large salad, vegetables, and a portion of brown rice or quinoa. His lunch is his primary protein and carbohydrate meal of the day, timed to support afternoon training or physical activity. He has described his Mediterranean-style eating as something he has found sustainable precisely because it never feels like restriction. Flavorful, varied, and built around real food rather than diet products or calorie-counted meal kits. Dinner. Lighter than lunch, built around protein and vegetables with minimal carbohydrate. Farrell eats his evening meal early, which allows the body to shift into recovery mode before sleep and maximizes the overnight hormonal restoration that drives muscle repair, testosterone regulation, and growth hormone release. His dinner reflects the same principle his entire dietary approach is built on. Eat to fuel the body you want, not to satisfy the cravings of the body you used to have. 5 foods Colin Farrell never eats. Food 1. Alcohol. Completely and permanently eliminated 20 years ago. Of all the foods and substances Colin Farrell has removed from his life, alcohol is the one that made every other positive change possible. Alcohol suppresses testosterone, directly disrupting the hormonal environment that drives muscle maintenance, energy, and drive in men over 50. It destroys deep sleep quality, which is the primary recovery window for every physical and hormonal repair process the male body runs overnight. It promotes systemic inflammation that accelerates cardiovascular aging and joint degradation. And it impairs the liver function that regulates every hormonal process in the male body. Farrell spent over 2 decades drinking alcohol daily from the age of 14. He stopped at 29 and has not gone back. The body that removing it produced over 20 years of recovery is visible at 50 food. 2. Recreational drugs and stimulants, also permanently eliminated alongside alcohol, and with equally profound effects on physical health. Chronic stimulant use drives cortisol elevation that degrades muscle tissue, suppresses testosterone, disrupts sleep architecture, and creates the chronic systemic inflammation that accelerates aging at every level. Farrell has described his recovery not just as the removal of substances, but as the rebuilding of an entirely new relationship with his body, one based on care rather than exploitation. The physical outcomes of that rebuilding over 2 decades are one of the most compelling arguments for sobriety available to any man regardless of the substances involved. But before we get to food number 3, something every man over 50 watching this needs to hear. After 50, testosterone drops by 1 to 2% every year, meaning lower energy, slower recovery, less muscle, and less drive, whether you're training or not. Most men just accept it. We didn't. We created Test Supreme specifically for men over 50. Doctor-formulated with clinically supported ingredients to naturally restore testosterone, improve vitality, and help your body recover the way it used to. No fillers, no weak doses, just results. Our current batch is moving fast, so click the link below to grab yours. Now back to the foods Colin avoids. Food 3. Processed and fast food. Farrell has described his clean lifestyle as the direct opposite of the processed, convenience-based eating that characterized his addiction years. Processed food introduces the refined oils, artificial additives, excess sodium, and hidden sugars that drive the chronic inflammation his Mediterranean diet is specifically designed to counter. For a man who spent years placing extreme stress on his liver and cardiovascular system, removing every unnecessary inflammatory input from his diet has been as much a medical priority as a lifestyle preference. Food 4. Refined sugar. Eliminated as part of the clean eating approach Farrell has described since getting sober. Refined sugar drives insulin resistance, promotes abdominal fat storage, accelerates the glycation of arterial and skin tissue, and suppresses the immune function that men over 50 increasingly depend on. For a man whose previous dietary pattern included large amounts of alcohol, which is essentially liquid refined sugar, the elimination of refined sugar from his food choices completed the removal of the primary inflammatory dietary driver from his system entirely. Food 5. Late-night heavy eating. Farrell has described his lifestyle as clean and structured, and one of the most consistent principles of a clean lifestyle for any man over 50 is the avoidance of heavy eating late in the evening. Late meals suppress the overnight release of growth hormone, that is the primary mechanism for muscle repair and fat metabolism during sleep. And for a man who trains 6 days a week and needs his body to recover effectively overnight, protecting that hormonal window is non-negotiable. Colin Farrell's weekly training routine: Monday chest and upper body. Bench press, 4 sets times 8 to 10 reps. Incline dumbbell press, 3 sets times 10 reps. Cable fly, 3 sets times 12 reps. Push-up, 3 sets times 20 reps. Tricep pushdown, 3 sets times 12 reps. Overhead tricep extension, 3 sets times 12 reps. Tuesday, running and cardio. Treadmill or outdoor run, 3 to 5 miles at steady pace. Incline walk, 15 minutes at maximum incline. Jump rope, 3 rounds times 3 minutes. Core circuit, plank 3 times 60 seconds and mountain climbers 3 sets times 30 seconds. Wednesday, back and biceps. Deadlift, 4 sets times 6 to 8 reps. Pull-ups, 4 sets times 8 to 10 reps. Bent over row, 3 sets times 10 reps. Seated cable row, 3 sets times 12 reps. Barbell curl, 3 sets times 10 reps. Hammer curl, 3 sets times 12 reps each arm. Thursday, yoga and mobility. Full body yoga flow, 60 minutes. Targeted stretching for hips, spine, and shoulders. Breathwork and meditation, 20 minutes. Farrell has described yoga as one of the practices he was most skeptical about and most grateful for, saying he predicted he would start doing yoga after getting sober and eventually proved himself right. Friday, legs and core. Back squat, 4 sets times 8 reps. Romanian deadlift, 3 sets times 10 reps. Walking lunges, 3 sets times 12 reps each leg. Leg press, 3 sets times 12 reps. Hanging leg raise, 3 sets times 15 reps. Russian twist, 3 sets times 20 reps. Saturday, hill hiking or outdoor activity. 2-hour hill hike or extended outdoor walk. Farrell has described this as one of his favorite training methods, combining cardiovascular conditioning with the mental reset that being outdoors provides. Sunday, rest. Complete rest and recovery, treated as a non-negotiable component of his program. 4 things Colin Farrell's journey teaches men over 51. The body is remarkably resilient when given the right conditions. Colin Farrell spent over 15 years placing extraordinary stress on his liver, cardiovascular system, hormones, and metabolism. 20 years of clean living produced a visible and measurable physical restoration at 50 that most men would not believe possible from that starting point. It is never too late to begin giving the body what it needs. 2. Purpose is the most powerful motivator available. Farrell has attributed his sustained sobriety and healthy lifestyle entirely to his children, particularly his son James. For men over 50, connecting physical health decisions to the people who depend on them produces more consistent behavior than any goal built around appearance or personal achievement. 3. Yoga works. Farrell resisted it for months after getting sober before eventually starting. He has described it as one of the most important physical practices he has adopted, providing the flexibility, joint health, and mental clarity that his other training demands. Men over 50 who dismiss yoga as something they do not need are almost always the men who need it most. 4. Sobriety is a physical as much as a psychological decision. Every drink, every drug, and every processed substance a man consumes is placing a demand on his hormonal, cardiovascular, and immune systems. The removal of those demands produces physical changes that no dietary addition or training program can fully replicate. Farrell's transformation at 50 began with a single removal. Everything else followed. If you found this information helpful, we have fantastic news for you. We're thrilled to announce that our requested ebook 8-Minute Fitness at 50 Plus is now here, with over 1,000 5-star reviews from men just like you. This comprehensive fitness guide is especially curated for individuals over the age of 50 who are committed to leading a healthy and active lifestyle. Thank you for watching.